Hi everyone, it's Cynthia here from Bridget's Well um, to talk about Major Arcana Key 0, which is the Fool card. Um, Traditionally, Key 0 might start off your Major Arcana and it would go 0, 1, 2, all the way up to 21. In some decks, they place the 0 card after number 20, which would be the Last Judgment, and before 21, which is the World card, or they would place it after the World card, number 21. So it would go 1 to 21 and then 0. The reason for flip-flopping some of this placement is because the Fool card, Key 0, is really kind of like a wild card. And in terms of consciousness, it does represent sort of a wholeness or totality. However, given the value of 0 being nothingness or void, it also kind of represents exactly that, a certain emptiness. The Fool, traditionally, like if you go from, say, tarot cards or cartomantic decks and you start looking at other playing cards, like a 52 card playing card deck, like you'd play poker with or something like that, right? The Joker in that is the same kind of basis off of the Fool card, and so there's that bit of crossover that appears with them. That's why one of the reasons why there's a Joker in a regular playing card deck. So when we're looking at the Fool card and we're looking at the 0 card, the 0 is kind of like it's the wild card. It could be the all or nothing. It could be the wholeness and fulfillment of a total full circle completion. It can also be the emptiness or the void of sort of nothingness. And you see that in the nature and character of what the Fool actually represents is, to a certain degree, there's an amount of lightheartedness, openness, unassuming sort of an attitude here. There's that certain amount of innocence, not in terms of being guilt-free, but in terms of being open and unassuming and having sort of that kind of an attitude. Now, with that, you can have someone who is ignorant, naive, doesn't know certain things, or doesn't care and doesn't care to know. They can have a very adventurous attitude. They can have sort of this fun-loving, lighthearted kind of feel to them. They're open to new experiences, but that's where we get, things like foolhardy. They can really disregard what's going on around them. What are the consequences to their actions? Different things of that nature. On the flip side, though, you can have an open and unassuming attitude. You can have an adventurous spirit, but you can also be very consciously aware of both yourself and your surroundings and be aware of consequences of actions. And you're in a sense going with the flow, but you're also in a state of sort of intuitively choosing what's good and true and correct in the present moment, in the now, and fully aware of either consequences that you're willing to handle or deal with, or you're also, sort of taking into account respectfully like the boundaries of others. You know what I mean? So you can be free spirited, you can be fun loving, you can have this sort of untamed, wild, adventurous spirit, but it doesn't have to, you know, bowl over everything in its path. It doesn't have to be untrustworthy or unreliable. It can be directed. It can be managed. It can be utilized as part of the creative spirit without disregarding what's around. Okay, so there's that aspect of the wholeness, fullness, and totality of really being self-aware, aware of surroundings, right? So that's like the higher nature of the Fool card, what it represents as a character or personality. It's really, it can be very representative of sort of the wanderer. And when you look at the major arcana as this process of consciousness development, you know, it's kind of like the ego that develops, or the self, or the consciousness that is developing, right? It's that wild card. It's that that spirit of growth and newness that is sort of being molded by experiences and knowledge and shaped. And as the Fool card makes its way through the major arcana, that's where you really see, you know, a lot of times the major arcana is referred to as the journey of the Fool, because it's this process of that open consciousness going through experiences and learning and changing and growing. And, you know, on the other end of that journey, when it comes full circle, it really brings to mind that opportunity for growth, that opportunity for, you know, having learned something, being more self-aware, being more aware of one's place in the surrounding, and still having that creative spirit, still having that that natural drive to, you know, just go out and experience more and do more things. Oftentimes, if not representing a personality trait or a character trait, the Fool card is going to represent a situation or a circumstance that poses a turning point. There's a new beginning here, and it can go one way or the other. Okay, it can either be sort of emptiness, void. You know, the Fool is often depicted as kind of walking this line between falling off a cliff and staying grounded where he's at. And that can be seen in a lot of different ways. It could be, you know, falling into the void or nothingness versus staying grounded in the self and continuing on your journey. That can also, it can also bring to mind sort of actions of a leap of faith. Okay, sometimes we have to be open to new experiences and new adventures, and sort of trust that in that experience will be something worthwhile for our growth. And we have to take that leap of faith into the unknown, off the side of the cliff, so to speak. So in terms of representations, there's a lot of this that can come out of the Fool card. It's very much of sort of returning to the basic goodness of our nature. And again, that open, unassuming attitude that can be directed by our higher consciousness, but that can be directed by our intentions and our awareness and our knowledge. But it doesn't have to be controlled by those things, right? It can be open to having an experience, doing something new, trying it out. If you like it, great, learn something. If you don't like it, that's fine too. Don't do it again, and, you know, handle whatever changes or knowledge or consequences may have come from, engaging that. So the Fool card really does represent sort of the beginning of that journey, that base point that we come from, where we have that opportunity to move forward, and learn new things. And so I wanted to share that with you. And hopefully the next April Fool's Day, you'll be reminded. April 1st, that kind of starts off like springtime, zodiac, it's like Aries season. So, I mean, it kind of brings to mind all of those things of April Fools. It's honoring sort of that fun-loving, free-spirited, open side of ourselves that says, hey, let's creatively dive into something new. Let's learn a new experience. Or let's just play and have some fun, and be in the present moment and enjoy what's going on. But the seasoned fool is going to be self-aware. The seasoned fool is going to be aware of surroundings and circumstances, and is going to have a little bit of insight or forethought, or checking in with the gut feeling and be like, is this good or is this not so good? And really kind of move that spirit forward. So consider that also on the next April Fool's Day. Some jokes, some fun, some playing, that's great. And in another sense, when things get a little bit too ridiculous, when they get a little bit too out of hand, turn around and take a second look at, okay, what's the difference here? New beginnings and new experiences versus like really just kind of taking it way over the edge. So in any case, I leave you with some of those thoughts, and we will be continuing our Wanderer's journey through the major arcana in the next video with keys number 1 and 2. Thanks. See you later.